Soulful shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, just some soulful shit for everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I made this be myself, so hear me. Woo! I mean, like, we can pull that clown shit away. There's some real shit for you. I'm spazzing right now, so listen, let's go. Yeah. It's in their bones, the thugs in harmony for the love of the money. Then fall victim for the cookie, then turn pussy, it's lonely. You said you hold it down when life get rough, we're here now, so show me. We move them losses to them wins. Heavy pounds, we make it ends meet. Converse with only few who make me feel like I be 10 feet.
What's going on, peeps, man? Back in the building, you know the ties and the vibes, man. Smash a like, share, subscribe, all of that kind of good stuff. So today, I really have to talk about this player you guys can see beside me, and that is Vitinha. Honestly, like, you know, sometimes, yeah, I think about, you know, obviously, you know, you can't watch everybody. You know, you try to watch as many players as you possibly can. And also some players, you know, it takes them a little bit of time. It takes them a bit of time to get to that level where you're like, that's the guy. Not everyone can be Lamine Yamal. Not everyone can be a Pedri. You know, not everyone can be these kind of players who, from the when they started kicking ball till now, you know, they've just always been in the spotlight. They've always been the guy. They've always been as talented, you know, as they are. And I feel like Vitinha, as talented as he was as a youngster, and I'm not saying that he wasn't necessarily touted for bigger things, but Lamine Yamal, do you get what I'm trying to say? Pedri, he wasn't touted on that level. I find it very hard to believe that he would have been seen on that kind of level, because they were operating at a top level from such a young age, and they're still kind of, you know, doing it. Obviously, Lamine Yamal, you know, only, of course, in these last couple of seasons. So when we're talking about someone like Vitinha, you know, starting out, you know, at Porto, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, this guy is, you know, like, you know, I checked out the scouting reports for him, you know, time ago. But again, I'll be real, and this is where I'm going to be honest, is he wasn't someone that was even really on my radar like that. Like, would I say maybe not a couple of seasons ago, maybe like his beginning at Porto. I wouldn't have sat there and said, yeah, this guy's going to be a top player. And listen, at the end of the day, by the way, you know, just to make this clear to everybody, you don't have to be like Messi-esque or like, you don't have to be of that level, but he wasn't one of the ones I kind of looked at as a player that I thought, looking at him today, yeah, this is going to be one of the players that in world football, I like that type of player. I didn't know he would turn out, you know, to be this good. And I think the most important thing for youngsters, the way I look at it anyway, is that you can be as talented as a Lamine Yamal, and I'll be real, there's probably bare youngsters out there probably as talented as a Lamine Yamal. Can you be consistent though? Can you take your game, big up Jerry, because it's something that he mentioned, can you take your game from one level to the next level until you reach that ultimate, whatever that level is, you know, for you as a player, you know, can you reach that level? And I think sometimes, you know, it's difficult for young players coming through, you know, trying to develop, trying to, you know, put themselves in a position whereby they can perform, you know, at these kind of levels, depending on what team you go to. And there is a lot of factors that obviously come into play, you know, him moving to PSG, you know, you've still got other players still there. And am I getting the game time to really show? And we see with quite a few players that, you know, they develop later on, you know, in their careers, and you just think, wow, like, where was this guy before? And, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And that's kind of how I saw, you know, with Vitinha is, you know, I'll be honest, I fully forgot that this guy was even popping up at Wolves. Like, in my head, I'm like, man, he was at Wolves, wasn't he? Obviously, he was only there on loan and stuff like that. But yeah, I still kind of looked at it and thought, like, rah, like, this guy, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just don't look at it like that. And, you know, testament to him, by the way, you know, the level of performance that this guy is putting in at this moment in time, you know, over the last couple of seasons. And I'll be honest, I don't even feel like last season, because last season started to watch him a bit more. I'm watching PSG because I'm a Luis Enrique fan anyway. So I just kind of wanted to see how it was all going to work, obviously, with Mbappe there and stuff like that. His last season, a lot of people criticized Luis Enrique, and I'm watching you guys. A lot of you were criticizing Luis Enrique, and you weren't really trusting the kind of the vision, the vibe, and stuff like that. And you know, you didn't really feel like he was going to turn out to be, you know, he was going to get his team playing the way that you know, they are currently playing and have been playing, you know, since, would I say, the turn of the year, right? But you can tell with the kind of football that he wanted to play, he just needed the right pieces. And I think he also, and this is on Luis Enrique, he also had to figure out, because he had Kolo Muani, he's got your Gonzalo Ramos as well, two potent strikers. But instead, obviously, signing 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒, now you put yourself in a position where we don't even play with a number 9. We've got false 9s. In fact, we've just got 3 forwards. They all seem to shift between each other. Barcola, Dembele, and 𝐒𝐒𝐁𝐒, and then Doué, coming off the bench as well. And they've still got other players, in that kind of reserve. So yeah, I think looking at it and looking at the way that someone like a Vitinha has just kind of been plotted into the middle there, alongside João Neves, of course, alongside Fabian Ruiz, alongside Zaire Emery, you can see now, like, it's really, he is the hub of the team. He really is that connector, of the team. And you can see, of course, with the heat maps and stuff like that, the positions and the areas that he of course likes to pick up, and, playing in that kind of, would I say, quote unquote, DM. I mean, we can do both, but like DM, that kind of first receiver, the guy is excellent picking up the ball, under pressure. I mean, he's got his goals and assists as well, but again, players like him, goals and assists are the most irrelevant thing. Like, they are so irrelevant for players like him, because players like him will still shine with or without goals. It's good that if you can add goals, of course, nobody's saying that it's not good. Don't want anyone to think like, oh, you shouldn't know. Of course, if you can score, then please score. If you've got a good shot on you, then take the shot. Do you know what I mean? But when we're looking at a player, like Vitinha, like, honestly, it's so mad when I watch this guy. Like, one of my favorite players to watch, this season anyway, definitely one of my favorite players to watch. One of the best performing midfielders this season. This is the type of midfielder I like to see. So when people ask me and they say, oh, do you rate that type of midfielder, just whoever you think fits in that exact mold of a Vitinha, the Verrattis, the João Neves, like them, maybe it's just because I like the tiki-taka. I like guys who are press resistant. I like guys who their IQ is on just 100 in comparison to guys who are really, really fast and, can get in behind and, all of these kind of, various different things. This is the guy. You can see that if he continues, of course, this is all about whether he can stay consistent as well, by the way. If he doesn't stay consistent, then it will just be a one-season wonder, ultimately. But if he can remain consistent, I mean, you're looking at the stats here. I mean, his passing range in general is just in the 99th percentile. Like, look at all of these numbers. This is ridiculous. This is against all the all the midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues. This is what this guy's doing. Passes into final third, passes into the penalty area, progressive passes. This is what this guy is doing. It is mad. You know what I'm saying? He can carry the ball very, very well. He can, get past his man if he really and truly needs to. He can pick up the ball in areas of the pitch that you think to yourself, blimey, like, he's really picking up the ball there. Now, obviously, I know some of these pictures, obviously, from his time at Porto. I couldn't find any, from his time, of course, at PSG. Just in terms of a tactical sense, he's still the similar type of player. But you can see here, this is him in a defensive kind of aspect. It's the IQ. He's not the biggest, of course. He's not. You can see, how small he is. He isn't the strongest, but he's smart though. And by the way, this is, and this is for Liverpool fans. When we talk about, say, like McAllister, this is what I thought McAllister was going to be. This type of player, someone who is very press resistant, someone who doesn't mind receiving the ball, with a guy, right behind him, someone who's comfortable under that pressure, someone who's, again, smart and has got the IQ of just Stephen Hawking, like, that level of play. That's the type of player I thought we were signing with McAllister. Unfortunately, we've turned him into this kind of road runner, dog type of guy who just runs around the midfield and is doing this, that, and the other. But he can show moments of like brilliance with like passing and stuff like that. But it's not controlled. It doesn't look controlled to me. It looks like, you can see he's gassing in the games and stuff. He can't finish, most of these games just because, he's just running out of energy. And listen, whether that's his fault or the managers or the tactics or the instructions given to him, I genuinely believe that this was the type of player that, we were going to find, someone who can sit deep and find those passes. Again, it's just the IQ of this kind of play. You can see when he's carrying the ball, the comfortability, the way he's able to evade players. He just, and the thing is, last season, from what I read in terms of the scouting reports and stuff, this was something that he wasn't Like he wasn't operating at this level. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he still had to get to this level. Now, of course, things take time, and this is why I say, of course, everybody develops at different stages. But when you're seeing someone operate at this kind of level, bro, like to me, this is a top, like one of the best players in his position in the world, top 5 at this current moment in time. Anyway, definitely, this is what I'm talking about. You know, it's these kind of little things, and again, this is why I say like when you've got such a smart player, like a Fabian, like a a Vitinha. Honestly, man, like I like you've got to appreciate this. Like whether you're an opposition fan or not, like surely you appreciate players like this. You know, the Marco Verratti's, and he's probably a bit more tenacious than a Vitinha, kind of thing. But you can see Vitinha can't like he's just you watched him, the other night, against Liverpool, and you can see this guy is ultra comfortable, ultra comfortable. This is obviously against Liverpool, when they beat us on on pens. I mean, 8 ground duels, 6 of those he won. Didn't have any aerial duels in the game. Long balls, 10, made 9 of them. He had 132 touches, 114 passes. He made 109, 96%. 3 key passes in the game. That's just in that first leg. You can see, you can see here 5 tackles, 1 big chance, created. He got his penalty shootout goal. Like it's mad. Like you get what I'm trying to say. Like that's obviously this is the stats obviously from the game against us at the second leg. This is obviously the stats from the first leg. Control. This guy was dictating tempo to a different level. That's what I want. Is a dictator. It sounds crazy to say you want to, someone to be a dictator, but you guys kind of get what I mean. And look, playing alongside João Neves, playing alongside Fabian Ruiz, playing alongside Zaire Emery, I feel like they form this kind of quartet of midfielders who are all just excellent on the ball, like I'm talking real bad boy technicians, but off the ball. In fact, someone like Fabian Ruiz, someone like maybe even Zaire Emery and João Neves, in fact, all of them, to be honest, they're really good off of it. Obviously, this is against, against Liverpool. You can see, again, it's not just him, though. João Neves, 85 touches in that game. Out of 63 passes, he got 57, 90%, 3 key passes, 3 out of 3 successful dribbles. This from João Neves. 9 out of 11 ground duels. He won an aerial duel, 4 tackles made. Fabian Ruiz, 90 minutes, 60 touches, 45, 37, 37 out of 45, accurate passes, 5 out of 6 ground duels, 4 tackles made. Like these guys are, like I say, bro, like these guys are really operating, at a top level, man. And I think Vitinha, and again, big up to Vitinha at the end of the day, because ultimately you have to put in that work. You have to put in these kind of efforts in order for people to really realize what it is that you're trying to do, what it is that you're capable of actually doing. And I think right now we are, in my opinion anyway, we are really seeing a top midfielder, top midfield display at this current moment in time. And I think he's only going to go from strength to strength, if I'm being super honest with you. I can't see why he's not going to, just continue what he's doing, in terms of the type of player that, that he is. I feel like he's just going to continue. He's going to be this kind of, is it metronome? Is that the word? Maybe I'm using even the wrong word, but he's going to be that dictator in that middle of the park. He's going to be that conductor. He's going to be that player that I feel like in a few years, depending on what he does with his career, I don't really know, that you're going to look at him and think almost, and again, I'm not saying he'll be on this level, but you'll start looking at him and thinking, right, okay, like, the Modric kind of players, they won't get you bare goals, they won't get you bare assists, but you know what they will do? They'll control the game. Against Liverpool in both legs, best midfielder. And it's, I was going to say it's not even close. João Neves was probably close to him, in that kind of sense. But in terms of versus Liverpool, they couldn't even get near him. Couldn't even get near him. But it's not even just that. He's been kind of doing this really all season. I'll be honest, even at the beginning part of the season, I thought he was actually playing well. I just don't feel like he was getting that level of praise. And again, maybe it's just about consistency. Can you do it biggest of nights against Liverpool at Anfield, Champions League, knockout tie? Again, I get it. I do kind of understand as to why people then need to almost see that to maybe forge their kind of, opinion and, on a player, which is fine. Like those kind of things. Again, he's still young, or youngish. So, I can understand that. But yeah, the first part of the season, I thought he was doing okay anyway. Again, I just felt like Luis Enrique was still kind of trying to work out his little bits and pieces. As soon as they've moved to this kind of false nine with Dembele and, you know, Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, Doué, and all these guys just popping around everywhere, yeah, I feel like he's now benefiting quite a lot from that. You know, and of course the attack is benefiting from the fact that, you know, he's in there. So listen, man, top player, one of the best midfielders in world football at this current moment in time. I would love for him to continue this. I would love for him, you know, to just continue being that kind of guy, because I love midfielders like this. If you ask me, can you sign a midfielder? It's that type of midfielder. Probably even just him. Yeah, instead of forget it, just sign him, because he could do exactly what I'm asking. Whether the manager asks him to do that, I don't know. But if you need someone to do that job, he's one of the best out there right now to, you know, to actually do that. And I think a lot of our midfielders and maybe even manager can take a bit of notes, can take some notes, you know, from what Luis Enrique has done with players like him, like João Neves. In fact, their whole midfield, how he's got their midfield working at this current moment in time. And listen, man, it's all a learning curve at the end of the day, man. But let me know, of course, you, people in the comment section, what do you guys think of Vitinha? How do you think he was over these 2 legs versus Liverpool? And how do you rate him as a player? If you've watched him, you know, what is it you like about him? What is it you think he still needs to work on? You know, kind of thing. Because again, I don't believe he's the complete player right now. I still think maybe he still needs to work on one, consistency, but also I think it's just in certain moments there are things he could do a little bit better, I feel like, on the ball. But listen, nobody's perfect, right? Nobody's Lionel Messi. let me know what you guys think in the comment section, man, and I'll catch you guys soon.